I like in movies is we have our own rules. We can do whatever we want to do to be able to do something that we can't see in our normal lives. And in Sisu, I wanted to push the reality as far as I can and maybe a little bit more.
These days you can do everything with the visual effects, but making something like that look convincing and it's there with the shots around it, that's a big challenge. The VFX supervisor is kind of on top of the visual effects work in the film, and that's mainly concerning the post-visual effects. But I was on board pretty early on, so I was working on the key art that was used for the marketing in the very early stages, and then concept art as well. And from there, laying out key scenes in the film in terms of concepting and just to get the feel of them.
I think it's important to storyboard them well and do good planning, and only then you are able to start breaking down them with crew-like VFX and physical effects. We decided to use practical effects as much as possible because usually they look better when you have all real bullet hits and explosions when you are shooting the film.
We used quite a lot of practical effects. I basically wanted to have them as much as possible, but also we were in a tight schedule, so when you have to do something again or you don't have bullet hits, you have to do it in VFX in the end, quite a lot of it. Because it was so windy where we shot, everything was hard to do on the set. Even to have some smoke in a shot, it's pretty hard. And all the explosions, basically, that was a challenge too, because when you have an explosion, it basically vanishes because the wind is so hard.
There's some scenes where we had a lot of SFX. Pyrotechnics, and for a small budget movie with a small SFX team to do that, I mean, it's basically one take. So it was not the end of the world if something didn't work 100%, but as long as it was like up to 75, we were happy because we knew that VFX would take over it at some point also.
Fire!
We decided in some point that we are not going to use like planks to have muzzle flames because we are mainly shooting daytime, so it wouldn't be so hard to do it like afterwards.
With pyrotechnics and beefing up gunfire and muzzle flashes and everything, because they might be shooting blanks or shooting nothing, really. You need to go back in there in post and help them along. That's when visual effects can help a lot. Let's say, for example, we had the tank there in the scene shooting, so the tank cannon might have had a huge bang on it, but no matter how realistic it is, tank firing tracer-like rounds, you want to show where it's coming from and where it's going. So obviously that's something that you wouldn't usually be able to shoot practically. So you want to put something in there and maybe just give it a little bit of flash and camera shake.
We do also some blades where the tank is firing at the man riding the horse, but we didn't shoot that at the same time. So we shot first the tank firing and explosions and then the man riding the horse.
This scene where Atom is sheltering himself with this plate that he's using for finding gold in the rivers, that's all actually VFX. The hits, the bullet hits there.
In that scene, there's backing up, only holding the pan, and we added the traces, the sparks, the bullet hits, and then the ground hits as well. VFX very involved during the shoot. Myself, I was on set for 2 weeks, and I had an on-set supervisor, Philip, pop up there to make sure that the shots are shot in a way that allows the VFX to be put in the optimal manner. For example, we have the minefield sequence when he's throwing the mines. But the mines, they were one asset that we had to make a digital duplicate of something that they had on set. Whenever you want to put something into the shot that doesn't exist there on set, you just want to make sure that it's happening in the optimal manner. So there's nothing crossing and we can actually execute the shot in post-production.
We got gold! Thank you!
Making something like CG blood look good, you always need to explore it and find out what is the style that the director prefers when it comes to, like, say, the amount of blood and the amount of general carnage that you have happening in the scenes. He usually wanted to have a lot of it, so that was one principle there. With SFX team, they did a lot of nice tests before the shoot. They explored the viscosity of the blood, for example, like what is giving the optimal kind of squirt of blood in the shots and how they wanted it to look. So we had pretty good handle on that when we started the post VFX work. Obviously, we put a lot of blood in a lot of the fighting scenes. You want to find a good balance that is not distracting, but is giving the additional beef for the shots that the director is after. One of the most challenging sequences and shots would be the bombed Helsinki in the end of the film.
We shot in the middle of Helsinki, and then we did some VFX extensions so that it looks like just after bombing.
Jalmari wanted to go with something that is, just has the maximum visual impact. And obviously Helsinki Cathedral, that's a very impressive building itself. And then the Bank of Finland. Of course, obviously it's modern Helsinki in the plate, so you want to erase anything that wouldn't be there in the 1940s. Buildings, aerials, satellite dishes, aircon units, and of course then there's the damage on the buildings. So for example, the Helsinki Cathedral, we needed to chop out a piece of the dome structure. So looking up some original architectural drawings of it, found out there's some wooden structures and pretty complicated ones, so we wanted to replicate those to make it look convincing. On top of that, all the smoke plumes from the situation in the city, and actually there's a lot of construction cranes in a wide shot like that of any modern city, so you can kind of hide a lot of that background stuff underneath layers of smoke and fog. I think the level of destruction is probably right considering the overall city, that, it wasn't bombed flat, but there's some buildings have taken damage.
Shooting the plane sequence, even though we were in the studio, it was really hard.
That was the most difficult scene to make because we had shots inside and outside the plane.
The airplane sequence, obviously that's not the cheapest sequence you might have in a film, so you need to plan it out really well. Laying out scenes started in storyboarding stage, so we wanted to find kind of what is the optimal amount of shots that you need to tell the story. And Jalmari, of course, he had a pretty good idea of what shots he wants, and then just cutting that storyboard into kind of a stop-o-matic, just to see whether it's cutting together nicely. And from there on, it goes to really simple 3D setups to just plot out camera placement and camera motions. What was an absolutely fantastic thing is they had on set, they had the actual hull of that airplane. That was kind of the wreckage of a similar kind of airplane.
We brought it to our studio and it was rigged hanging from the ceiling, and then we had a green screen around the plane. That was very difficult rigging, and it was a little bit dangerous also.
That was really technical stuff. All the rigging and stuff, how to rig Artemi to the belly of the plane, how we can move him.
When the photography was wrapped, we cleared the cables and basically replaced the plane for most part with a VFX double of that plane with wings and propellers. The plane was a big challenge. You need to make it look super cool and you need to have a great design and putting it to a place where it's supposed to be flying. In Sisu, I would say that the full CG shot of Bruno falling, that was probably one of the most challenging because there's not a lot of ways you can shoot something like that, and with big camera motions and someone falling hundreds of meters, we took photos of him so that we can make a digital duplicate version of him for the shot when he's falling from the plane. So that was a full CG shot. Designing the shot in a way it fits into the cut, invisible in that sense, I think that makes a successful VFX shot for me.
I'm pretty sure you will never see me doing a film which happens in a kitchen where husband and wife are arguing about some stupid shit. To me, you have to have a big adventure.
If someone is immersed in the story with the visual effects, that's always, I think, the bottom line we're aiming for, as long as it falls into place really nicely into the flow of the shots in the film. I guess that's why I love VFX. There's always a full gamut of different types of shots, and you need to find the right balance to make it look convincing.